somewhere, right now, someone's having the best day of their life. And somewhere else, somebody's having the worst. And the strange thing about radio is, I'm talking to both of them at the same time. And I don't know who's on the other end. I don't know why they're listening. I don't know what kind of day they're walking into this moment with. All I really know is that there's a mic in front of me and a few moments that probably matter more than they should. Welcome to 1 Minute Later. I'm Craig, and today I just kind of want to pull the curtain back a little. And it's not to complain or defend anything, all right? Just want to throw that out there. It's to honestly just talk about what the job is when you work at a Christian radio station and what we're trying to do when the mic turns on. Because that pressure I mentioned never really goes away. Okay, so you're always kind of wondering, is this too light for somebody who's hurting? Hey, just kind of picture being in one of those stereotypical radio studios that you imagine in your head, okay? And you're always kind of wondering, is this too light for somebody who's hurting? Or is this too heavy for somebody who's just trying to get through their commute? And once you say what you're saying, it's out there and there's no rewind. And there's a part of this job that people don't actually see. The emails, the voicemails, the messages that start friendly and then they have that but shift. Yeah. Like, there's a guy who calls and lets us know the music isn't holy enough, at least not his version of holy anyway. And then there's the voicemail of someone who's really upset that our Christian worldview doesn't line up exactly with theirs, and they want us to know they're never going to listen to the station again. Which, all right. And then there's the quieter ones, the passive-aggressive comments about how I talk, what I talk about, the song we played, the song we didn't play. Apparently I talk too much, but also not enough. Too serious, but not serious enough. And I'm not saying any of this to complain. Honestly, I really am not. I'm saying it because every one of those messages actually has weight to it. Because most days, we're not choosing between right and wrong. We're actually choosing between two people who both love Jesus and just see things slightly differently. If I move towards one voice, then I'm moving away from another. And I've looked, there just isn't a version of this job where everybody's completely satisfied. And yeah, when someone says that they're never listening again, it still stings. Even when you understand it, even when you respect where they're coming from. Because behind the mic, we're still people. And we're reading those messages in real time. And, I'm trying to figure out what's discernment and what's just noise. And I think a part of the disconnect is people they imagine radio differently than what it actually is. I think some folks picture me kind of walking into a room, pushing a big red button and just kind of, talking, whatever pops in the head. And that's not exactly how it works. Because, first of all, there's no big red button. And if there was, I would have broken it already. But most days, it's me in a small room talking to a clock, and the clock is not always encouraging. And then there's also this idea that somebody's in my ear telling me exactly what to say. And I promise you, if that were true, they would stop me way sooner. And no, I don't just play whatever song I feel like that day, because if I did, honestly, you would hear the same 3 songs over and over because, those are the ones I like when I'm tired. And this one always kind of makes me smile because people actually do think we can see them. Kind of like, I know you're listening, but I don't. I'm kind of guessing based on vibes and maybe a text from my wife. So when feedback comes in, good or bad, it's not background noise here. It suddenly has a face and a voice, and that changes things. And I probably should say this too. Radio isn't just showing up and talking. There's a lot that happens before the mic ever turns on. Coming up with something to talk about every single day. Try not to be boring. Trying to be encouraging without sounding fake. Trying to say something that might actually connect with a real person having a real day. And there is a tremendous amount of second guessing. Is this helpful? Is this too much? Is this not enough? Is this going to land, or is it just going to sound better in my head? Because some things feel meaningful when you're thinking about them, and then you say them out loud and they're just not. There's a lot that's involved. There's coaching, there's conversations, there's debate about what's good and what's not, what's honest and what's just noise. And honestly, sometimes it takes more time to actually prepare a show than the actual show itself, which feels backwards until you remember the goal is not to fill time. It's to use it well. And I don't want to miss this part, because for every hard message, there are others. And this is very important. Well, you got the person who says, that song played at the exact right time I needed it. The parent who laughs and says their kids have been singing Forrest Frank all day long, whether they wanted that or not. And one of my favorites is the person who says, I'll be honest, this style of music you guys are playing, it's really not my thing, but I'm grateful it's on the air, pointing the next generation towards Christ. And those messages don't just encourage us, they really steady us. And they remind us why this ministry matters. I mean, even when it's messy. And then there's the family stuff. I like to talk about my life sometimes, about, being married and being a parent, but there obviously is a line because, well, my kids didn't sign up for this. And some moments are funny and some moments are meaningful and some are just not mine to share. So if it ever sounds like I kind of stop short, well, there's a reason for that. Not because I'm hiding, just because some things matter more than a good story. So what we're trying to do, what we've always been trying to do, is we're just trying to make room for, whatever situation you may be in your life, in your day, just for faith to breathe, for questions to exist without panic, and for someone having the best day of their life and somebody having the worst, to feel a little less alone in the same moment. So, yeah, there's a lot you don't hear. But when you reach out and when you tell us what landed or why you stayed or how a song mattered, it really helps more than you probably realize. And it's not because we need the validation, but because it reminds us that there's real people on the other side of the microphone. And if you've ever wanted to reach out, good, bad, somewhere in between, you can. All of us want to know what you're thinking. And if you feel like dropping a line, you can always email me. My email is craig@kjil.com, and I'll make sure it gets where it needs to go. Not everything needs a response, but knowing you're out there, that's what matters. So thank you for listening. I don't take it lightly. I really appreciate it. And I will talk to you 1 minute later.